All right, all right, all right. Happy Monday. Hi, everyone. I am so excited. It is Monday morning, 11 a.m., and we are starting off this week with a bang, with a word, with a new mindset. For me on Mondays, it is normally mental note Mondays, right? And we are going to have a mental note about marriages and relationships. And I'm so excited for you guys to be joining us here on Cuddle with Purpose. We have an amazing guest with us today. She is such an extraordinary woman. Her name is Denise Nelson, and she is the founder of Happily Ever After, the co founder, along with her husband, James. So today we are in for a treat. I am so excited for everyone that has been able to join us. And for those that'll be able to see the replay, this live will be available for you to watch later on. Denise has so much to discuss with us ladies, y'all. Let me tell you just a little bit. She and I got connected because we both are really invested in pouring into others, into our businesses, and the things that we are doing as far as what our purpose is, right? And so I've got the opportunity to kind of cuddle with her and learn so much and gain a little bit of knowledge about what her purpose is, and she knowing about my purpose and redefining who I am after suffering my strokes. So, with that being said, guys, Denise, or ladies, I should say, ladies and gents, Denise has been married for 32 years. Can you believe that? 32 years. Something phenomenal, something that you cannot even sneeze at, something that some of us can't even fathom, right? Because we didn't grow up in homes where our parents were married or remarried or what have you, or just to see how you navigate that journey, because we will know that, well, we all know that's not an easy task, but it's definitely rewarding. She, once again, is the founder of Happily Ever After, and she has an amazing event that is coming up that we will be talking about a little bit later. But today, what we are talking about is what? Wives, and talking about the power of words, right? When I think about just the power of your words, I not only just think about marriage per se, but I also think about us as individuals. So for me, one of the things that I would like to do, for one, is ask you, Denise, what does it mean to you as a wife to know the power of your words?
Well, hello, and thank you for having me, first of all.
Hmm.
So happy and excited to be here with you.
Hmm.
Um, for me, thinking of as wives and as a woman first, because once we become a wife, we often forget about being a woman.
Hmm.
And as women, we're designed, by design, we're nurturers.
Hmm.
And we often kind of forget about nurture. We're so busy nurturing other people. We're nurturing our husband, we're nurturing our children, we're nurturing, just even our friends around us. We forget about ourselves.
Hmm.
So I think as we nurture, so I looked up the word nurture.
Yeah.
Um, and the definition of nurturing is to feed and to nourish, to train, educate, and help to grow.
Hmm.
And so that's something that we, like I said, we're busy, we're often doing, but do we take the time to nurture ourselves? What are we saying to ourselves? What are we speaking to ourselves?
Hmm.
Are we able to accept the compliments? Because part of what we do, we set the tone in our households.
Right, right.
So how we feel, our mood affects everyone around us and everything around us. So
Yeah.
that's another reason how our words have power, because of how our mood is affects what we say and how we say it. Because I know for
Definitely.
me, the tone is important too. And that's something that I'm forever working on.
Especially if you're an alpha woman.
Yes. So that's something as well as the words, but the tone as well. So, and like we set the mood. So what are we saying to ourselves? How are we feeling about ourselves? What are we projecting, about ourselves to other people, to our husbands,
Yeah.
as wives? So I think that's important because, we our mood is based on our confidence,
Right.
and when we're not confident, it's hard to give love and kind of show love and receive love, because
Hmm.
if we're not confident in who we are, then it's hard for us to again accept the love that our husbands have for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. When has there been a time recently where you felt like what you've been saying to yourself needed to change in order for you to show up better in your home for yourself, for your marriage?
So actually, that's good, because I struggled with self-esteem.
Wow.
And people are like, you, and I'm like, yeah. So um, I wasn't always like this. I was more quiet. I'm still kind of quiet until I get to know people, but I'm a little more open, and I'm a little more kind of out there. Like even in the jewelry that I wear and things like that. Like I like jewelry. You know, I like to look good.
Right.
So that's
You
part of
look, you're looking good.
but I try. I like to look good, and I feel like when I look good, I feel good, and then that
Hmm.
presents how I show up. You
Right.
know, how would I show up in everything, everywhere I go, every place I'm at? And people always saying, I never see you angry, or I never see you. You're always smiling. At least that's what they say at work, because I don't let them bother me.
Well, come on now, letting that bother you. It's the words you say in your office, like, you know what, I ain't about to tell these mother tappers off today. Because I love me, I love them, and I like my job. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something what you said. I like me. So when I like
Yes,
me, I can be able to, say different things to people, and how what we say to our husbands about, who they are as men,
yes,
because they deal with so much. When they come
yeah,
home, they want to be able to relax and be themselves and not feel like they're going to get dumped on again.
yeah.
So, even from that standpoint. So,
I think it's so important. I love when you shared that you've actually struggled with your self esteem and your confidence because we tend to dismiss that. And if our spouses have met us in a space where we were confident and that somehow changed in our journey, that can shift the way we show up in our house. That can change the temperature in our home and even make our spouses feel some type of way because they're like, well, am I doing something wrong? Is there a way? Is there something that I need to adjust? And sometimes it has nothing to do with them. It's what we or the self talk that we're having with ourselves, the words that we are saying to ourselves. I'll never forget after suffering from my bilateral cerebral strokes and just feeling not like myself because, of course, everything in my world changed.
right,
And I went through redefining who I was as a woman, how I showed up as a wife, how I showed up as a mother, because now I am no longer able to be who Tierra once was. I don't have the same amount of energy. I have excessive sleeping disorder. I'm dealing with depression. I'm dealing with anxiety. My health isn't the same. I can't run up and down stairs. I can't do all of the things. I can't show up like the person I was before. So I had to figure out, okay, what's the new way that I'm going to show up? And am I gonna just sit around looking like just I'm just a survivor, like I'm just a stroke patient, or am I gonna show up even further and go beyond that?
right,
And so for me, it was like, okay, I had years of just going to therapy and to the doctor appointments with just sweats on and looking dry. Probably didn't even have nothing on my lip, no lip gloss or nothing. And that wasn't me. And then one day it clicked like, no, sis, you got to put some clothes on. You know, like God has given you this husband that is now your full time caregiver. And how you're talking to yourself and how you're dealing with yourself is affecting everything, you know, like you're gonna have to put a little bit more effort in it. So I had to have a little self-talk, right?
Yeah,
And then I had to have some real conversations with my husband as well, and just letting him know where I was. And so the words, I feel like, is not only what you're saying in regards to encouraging your spouse, but just being real about your limitations sometimes too.
exactly. Yeah,
I
because
think that really sets the tone.
we all have struggles, and
Hmm.
um, even what you were saying, like we're our own worst critics.
Hmm.
We find every flaw, like even when someone gives you a compliment, yeah, but
Yeah. Right.
just
Right.
so I know that was one thing I had to do with the self-esteem. I had to
Hmm.
learn to say thank you, for
Hmm.
the compliment, and not
Hmm.
try to pick it apart, or or what do you call it, lower it.
Hmm.
It's a compliment, take it. So that's something that like I said, we're our own worst critics. We find every flaw, everything wrong. We'll take the sunshine and put a cloud over it. And
Hmm.
so that's something that we as women tend to do, and we have to stop doing that. We got to accept the compliment and appreciate who we are, the good, the
Hmm.
bad, and the indifferent. We're still beautiful. No one's perfect, and we need to give ourselves some grace with that.
Oh, that's the word right there. Give
Mm-hmm.
yourself some grace, and
Mm-hmm.
also give your spouse grace.
Mm-hmm.
What would be something you would say to wives when it comes to giving their spouse grace, and what those words look like when you're giving him grace?
For me personally, a lot of times it looks like not saying anything.
Child, just be mute.
um, because we think different, um,
Hmm.
and we think different,
Hmm.
and a lot of things. So for me, let me see an example. I know one of my friends and I, we have she got married later, and I used to always tell her, yeah, you can do there's things that you can do, but you don't have to do. Let your
Hmm.
husband do it.
Right.
Let
Right.
him be the man. Let him have some responsibility. Let him have some. They need to feel needed. So let
Yes.
him feel needed. Um,
Yes.
but sometimes at the same time we have to give grace, because they're not going to move as fast as we do.
Right. Right.
So
No, that's
I
it.
have to give grace with that, because
Yes.
they don't move as fast as we do. They don't think like we do. They don't
Hmm.
see what we see.
Hmm.
So we have to give grace in that and allow them, to operate in their time.
Hmm.
And that's not always easy with us, because we want it done now. We see it needs to be done.
Yeah.
Um, so I do grace with that. So for me, my words look like not saying anything, biting my tongue. So, and that's sometimes even a powerful word, in not saying anything, because
Hmm.
everything that can be said doesn't always have to be said. And
Oh,
so
100%.
my friend and I have a joke that, we'll call each other, okay, girl, my tongue is bleeding. My tongue is bleeding. I gotta bite my tongue. I can't. So, but yeah, and not, I say bite your tongue, but not to the point where it's messing you up, but just, everything doesn't have to be said. So,
Yeah, I agree because 9 times out of 10, even though you feel like you may have assessed how you could say it better,
mhm,
sometimes there's not a need for it.
mhm.
And I, to this day, am still learning that. Now, I know you've had a whole lot of practice, 32
Girl,
years. But but she's like, no. So now you're giving me no hope because here I am just
no, there's
going
still hope.
in
It
year.
gets easier.
I'm going into year 7, and I find myself that it is becoming more of a second nature to not say exactly what I'm thinking. Like I literally will allow it to sit, and then it'll, before it was like you say it and it's still there, but sometimes when you let it sit, it'll go away and you're like, you know what, I'm glad I didn't say that, because that was going to be unnecessary, and
Right.
that could have changed the whole dynamics of our conversation, of our evening, of everything, because sometimes the opinion and your input in that particular situation is definitely not needed. And so that brings me to boundaries and your words within the boundaries that you set for yourself and within your marriage. So, what are some of the words that you had to use when setting boundaries for yourself?
I would say some of the words are kind of wait.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, the tone. For me, it's always I have to check my tone, but just how to say things are just is that's major for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not always what I say, it's how I say it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I know this. You always want to encourage. You want to build up. You want to word things um, in a way to not degrade or not demean.
Yes.
So that's very important. And we have to realize too, like men are just as sensitive as us sometimes.
Yeah. If not more.
Right. If not
Yeah.
more. So
Mm-hmm.
we see them and they are strong. It doesn't take away from their strength. It doesn't take away from their masculinity. But they're just as sensitive as we are. So what we say, how we have to be careful how we word what we say because we don't want to make them feel stupid.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to make them feel less than
Mm-hmm.
or incompetent or anything like that. Um,
Right.
so, again, waiting for the right
Mm-hmm.
time and thinking through how you're going to say what you're going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, you, um, I'm just trying to think of examples. I'm like so bad
Right.
with the stories, but
I completely understand. I think that it's like in the moment type of thing when you
Mhm,
think about how you're going to navigate what boundaries you're going to set, and I think that the boundaries, as far as wording, is very important, because even coming from different households or upbringings, the
mhm,
language that is used is different. And so we have to we have to talk about our own boundaries, like what is going to be a trigger for us, or the things that I don't want to be said
mhm,
to me. When you think about, okay, I don't want you to be talking about my weight. No,
mhm,
I might be a little sensitive about that. For me, I know I had to really, really find solace and peace with just my delay in my cognitive thinking,
mhm,
and how I didn't, my thinking process was much different and it's much slower than it was before. Everything has to be written, everything has to be repeated. I had now have short-term memory loss. And
mhm.
so for me, I had to set the boundaries and say like, okay, I can make a joke of it, but really I wasn't feeling good. Like, I'm not slow, babe.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
I'm saying that, but I just want you to know that I need some time.
Mhm.
I need time to process it. I'm not as quick on the feet as a wife as I was before.
Yeah.
And so I had to set those boundaries so that there can be some patience that was put in place,
Mhm.
because I'm not the same person anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that is so important. Even how I show up as a mother. Um, I was blessed to have my son already. Once I had my stroke, he was only 8 months old. And so he was home for the first 4 years of his life. I think he went to school for like 1 month
Mhm.
at one point and came right back home because we couldn't deal with him being as sick as he was.
Yeah.
Um, and although I don't look like what I've been through, thank God,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah. Thank God.
I still have been unable to show up as that mommy that I wanted to. That energy, like my son would just be in the bed with me until 1 and 2 o'clock in the day
Mm,
because I can't be that mom anymore. And so it was even setting boundaries in that way. Like, babe, I'm gonna need more help.
yeah.
Even though I may have said to you, I want to do more, because in my mind, I tried to disassociate myself with my actual illness.
Right.
I had to really set real boundaries
That's
and
the
be
reality.
real with myself and what I was saying to myself, and also what I was saying to my husband and even to the world.
Mm-hmm.
So now,
Yeah.
did you
I
want
was
to
gonna
say
say
something?
just to that. A lot of times with couples and communication and words, just being
Mm-hmm.
real with yourself and what you want and what you need.
Mm-hmm.
We expect the husband or the spouse to be a mind reader,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not. We have to be real with what we need. Like, say it. Say
Mm-hmm.
what you need. Say what you want. They're not gonna know. Don't assume they're gonna figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something really important. A lot of couples will fall out over that, and it could be just as simple as I didn't know, or you should have
Mm-hmm.
told me.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
While we were sitting here, I've been thinking about the name of your actual um, company, which is Happily Ever After, and with the question mark.
with the question.
And those words, particularly, are quote unquote cliched.
Mm-hmm.
Those words are sometimes frowned upon,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of seems like BS to some, you
Right.
know? So when you think about those words in particular, what were you thinking when you said, okay, or what were you both thinking when you said, this is what we are going to call what we have?
So my husband actually did come up with the name, and
Okay.
it was like, yes. Because a lot of time couples get married and they only think about um all the happy, we're going to be get
Hmm.
married and be happily ever after, and we're not going to have any problems, and everything's going to be beautiful and lovely, and
Right.
we just love each other so much, and
Right.
and then reality kicks in, the day-to-day, life kicks in,
Hmm.
and it's like, I can't do this. You get on my nerves. I don't like you. And then it's like, we're getting a divorce. And it's like, well,
Hmm.
wait a minute.
Hmm.
Did you try to work on it? Did you
Hmm.
talk?
Hmm.
Did you, tell each other what you need and what you want?
Hmm.
What about the vows?
Hmm.
There's no more till death do us part. Society has messed us up with do what makes you happy, and boss lady, boss, I don't need nobody. I can do this by myself. So happily ever after was based on trying to give people, like, we want to give couples tools to help them. We talked about fight fair, to help them
Hmm.
fight fair, to help them fight,
Yeah.
first of all, because couples
Right.
don't want to fight anymore. They just
No.
want to just throw it in. And we marriage is God's idea. We're supposed to do this till death do us part. We're
Yeah.
supposed to honor the vows that we made in sickness and in health, for better, for worse, for
Hmm.
richer, for poorer. um
Hmm.
so happily ever after with the question mark is because, can you really be happily ever after? And
Hmm.
we think yes. Will there
I
be,
love that.
yeah, will there be struggles and issues?
Yeah.
Of course, everybody
Hmm.
has issues, whether you're single or married, you're going to have
Yeah.
issues. So
And when I think about it, I feel like an happily ever after is a daily walk.
yes.
I My husband and I always talk about the fact that marriage is truly a daily decision. Every
Exactly.
day that you wake up, you are making the decision that I'm going to show up. And
Hmm.
you have to tell yourself that. It's the words that you're telling yourself, like, I want to show up as the best version of myself for me and for the person that decided that I'm going to be with for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
And we as a unit have to decide that we want to be happily ever after. And I think that I love the fact that you guys did not shy away from that. I love how you put the question mark, but I feel like the question mark also speaks to the reality of it and knowing that every day isn't going to be peaches and creams. But if you just can push past through to the next day or even the next moment, then you
Exactly.
can get to that happily ever after process. I, it made me think about, what do you say about the words you're saying to yourself and then to your spouse after you've had this like powwow conversation, right? And and you realize you don't want to like stay in that space. What are the words that you're saying to yourself when you want to bring yourself back?
I love this man. I love this man. And
Right.
not only that love, but I like him. I still,
Hmm.
we still like each other at the end of the day. So,
Right.
and we, again, it's about the vows and honoring
Hmm.
the vows and
Hmm.
the relationship with God. Um,
Hmm.
and this too shall pass. It's a moment. It's part of life.
Hmm.
I'm more a realist, so
Hmm.
I can deal with things a little bit easier than most because I know
Yes.
things happen and things are not always going to be great.
Hmm.
So I am big on, you know, okay, let's get to the root of it and let's see what's really really going on.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so I'm big on that. So yeah, the words, again, wait,
Hmm.
love, like,
Hmm.
this too
Hmm.
shall pass. It's
Hmm.
a moment, life happens. So,
Right. So, and I know we're getting closer to the end, but because we're still in the beginning of the year,
hmm
and I really believe in the power of manifestation, and I believe in the power of words. Um, let's speak to denouncing things, right? That you dislike in your marriage. How you can speak to that in the words that you're saying to that, to let the enemy know that you ain't about to win, you're about to take this down. And then on the flip side of that, what are you wanting to manifest moving forward? I know that was like too a lot, but give me whatever you want to give me.
well, I definitely believe in praying and
Hmm.
putting God at the center of the marriage, at the head of the marriage, I should say.
Right.
So all the words go to Him as far as
Hmm.
no divorce. We're gonna work through this.
Hmm.
Um, God is our strength. God is He is the head, so He's going to work this out. We're going to give
Hmm.
everything to Him. But yeah, no divorce was a big thing. We try not to, that whole thing, don't go to bed angry. We try to do that. And, granted, it does happen sometimes,
Hmm.
but, what we said when we first got married was no divorce. And we're going to try not to go to bed angry.
Hmm.
So those are the words. I guess no divorce is one of the main words.
Hmm.
And fight. We're gonna fight. We're gonna put in
Hmm.
the work required to keep
Hmm.
this relationship alive because it
Hmm.
requires work.
Hmm. When as I sit here and talk to you, and of course we have talked many times offline, and I've been able to just kind of like pick up your energy. What I'm getting is that, like, brush it off, like take it easy, like relax. It ain't that deep. Because I'm like, when people think like 32, yes, how the hell sandwich y'all made it that long? But what I'm getting from you is just relax.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've gone through some things.
Mm-hmm.
We've come close to divorce.
Yes.
But yeah, at the end of the day, with the help of God, the grace of God, we
Mm-hmm.
work through it, and get to the root of it. Like it
Mhm.
may not be that deep, and the lack of
Mhm.
communication is major. So you have to have words. Like you have to be honest with yourself, with
Mhm.
what you want and what you need, and then with your spouse regarding what you want and what you need. Like that
Right.
will eliminate so many heartaches in
Mhm.
relationships.
Right. You know what I've literally gathered from today, and because I know we have so much that we wanted to discuss, and that's why I'm so excited about us continuing to do this. But what is something that you said in the beginning that I feel that our listeners can take away from what you share with us, and just saying what needs to be said, but not saying unnecessary things.
Hmm. Yeah.
Eat the fish and spit out the bones type of situation.
Hmm.
And really choosing your words that are going to plant positive seeds, positive words into your marriage so that you can see it bloom.
Hmm. Yeah.
So with that being said, and I got so many more questions for you, but I know we have to go. I definitely wanted to talk about your upcoming event that you
Yes.
have coming up,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes. We are launching this with a marriage evolution symposium to
Mm-hmm.
help couples. Again, I talked about the tools to help them fight fair, to help them really understand what marriage is, and try to dispel some of this new thinking about marriage. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
don't want to get married anymore because they don't see couples striving and being
Mm-hmm.
happy. So we started this to try to, so people can see the other side. And again, to
Mm-hmm.
give tools so they can fight and work. So
Mm-hmm.
February 4th, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be virtual.
Mm-hmm.
February 4th, um, virtual online, 12 o'clock Eastern time. We're going
Mm-hmm.
to get together with a few other couples and talk tools, talk happiness, talk love, talk life, about marriage. So if you are interested, just drop marriage in the link and we will get the registration link to you. So just drop marriage in the link and we'll get the registration link to you to sign up to join us February 4th, Saturday, February 4th at 12 o'clock Eastern time.
Yes, yeah. So you definitely don't want to miss this upcoming event. She is just such a phenomenal individual, and as you can see, it's not a pushy type situation. She's so relaxed, so loving,
Oh,
and she's showing you how to do the thing with ease, and that's what I absolutely love
I had to learn that.
about it. Right, right. um, So what I wanted to do is just to remind you guys, you can put marriage within the comments. This is going to be available for replay, and we definitely are going to be seeing you again very soon. We will actually be putting out the flyer. Hopefully, what is today? Monday.
Yeah,
And
23rd.
today's child days is flying.
They are. January's almost over. Like we just
I
started
know.
yesterday.
I know.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I really, really, really appreciate everybody that joined us on live today. We may even be considering changing the time if
Yeah.
it may suit um, us better, but we will definitely let you all know. Thank you so much, Denise. I
Thank you.
really, really enjoyed this, and I look forward to um, being a part of this journey of the happily ever after journey and reaching not just the 7 year anniversary I have coming up, but 32 years.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad we connected. This has been great. And I too am looking forward to more collaborations. So
Yes.
get our husbands involved. So, yeah.
Yes. Yes, I love it. All right, y'all.